So my name's Vicky Papageorgopoulos. I'm a Community Development Officer at Headspace Camperdown, and I also coordinate groups here. Headspace Camperdown is located on Gadigal land in the Brain and Mind Centre at the University of Sydney. And a lot of my work has got to do with promoting the service to young people and assisting them to access services, so health promotion, service promotion, youth participation, and I'm really passionate about youth advocacy as well. I think it varies from person to person, and I think with a lot of young people, I think if your family isn't kind of really understanding of LGBTQIA plus issues and community members, then it can be quite difficult coming out. And I think the thing is that a lot of young people feel a lot of shame about being LGBTQIA plus, especially if their families have had certain expectations of them, that they're going to grow up and, they're going to get married to someone of the opposite gender to them, and they have certain expectations of them, and at times other things can play a role. So I guess cultural pressures, religious pressures, wanting to conform with societal, I guess the societal kind of mainstream as well. I think it's getting better in mainstream media with more representation of LGBTIQA plus people. And I hope to continue seeing that happen. So then young people can actually see themselves in the media, in magazines. I think things like, I guess, TikTok, Instagram, and other social media outlets have played an important role of young people being able to connect and share their experiences and build community. When people say things like coming out, there's another concept that kind of gets discussed a lot in the community, which is inviting in. And I kind of really like that idea of inviting in as opposed to coming out, because sometimes when a young person comes out, there's a real pressure that they have to come out to everybody. And for everybody, it's not always necessarily safe to come out, especially if young people are still living at home and they don't think their parents and their friends are going to be supportive of them being LGBTIQA plus. So I like the idea of inviting in, so where people actually choose who they want to invite into that information, because then it centers the experience of the person themselves who's LGBTIQA plus in kind of inviting others into, their identity or, of who they are, as opposed to feeling that pressure of this big announcement of coming out, and then it feels like too much all at once. But yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges because young people feel they're going to be rejected from their families and kind of lose all that stability and support, even be sometimes kicked out of home if their family and friends aren't supportive. So there's a lot to lose, I feel, for young people if they come out in an unsupportive environment. So I think it's really important to build supports and not feel pressured to come out if they're not ready to, because I think everybody's got their own timeline about when it's the right time for them. If young people are having a tough time or they're feeling confused and thinking, having a tough time with their sexuality and gender and need someone to talk to, and they don't have anyone, a safe person to talk to about it, I think often, like especially services like the one I work at, Headspace, is a safe space for young people to come and talk through some of those issues with a therapist, because a lot of the time, like, it does cause young people a lot of distress at times, because they feel like they're holding this secret on their own and they don't really have anyone to talk to, and they feel really stuck and alone. So I think first of all, like, find yourself some support, whether it's Headspace, your local Headspace site, or there's eheadspace.org.au, which is our free online counselling and support, and they'll be able to let you know where you can access support if you want face-to-face support, or you can do online support if that's your preference. But also I think it's important to find community, like if you can. So places like 2010, they're located in the city, but also pre-COVID, I believe that they had a group out in Parramatta that would meet quite regularly for LGBTIQA plus youth living kind of towards Western Sydney. But I think 2010 is a good resource as well to kind of call them up, and then they can let you know if there's any specific groups around, if you're a young person closer to your area, or they can also connect you to online resources. For young people that are a bit older, maybe 18 plus, ACON is a good service because they run a lot of groups as well, you know, relating to healthy relationships, anything that people need. Like they can also be a good platform to kind of refer out specific to someone's needs. And there's also Q Life, which is if you just Google Q Life, they're a national LGBTIQA plus referral service. So you can just call them up, or they do online chat as well, and they're like a referral service for what you need as well. So there's quite a few different options, but I think, you know, because New South Wales is such a big place, like there could be so many different things happening that we don't know about. So I think make contact with at least one of those services and make sure you're getting support from at least somewhere where you can talk freely without judgment, that's confidential, and hopefully build your confidence up. But yeah, like I said before, like don't feel rushed, all this pressure that you have to come out if you don't feel comfortable. It's all an individual journey for different people. Some people want to make sure they're feeling a bit more secure, or they've moved out of home, and that they have their own safe space before they can start having conversations with others about their sexuality and gender. And that's totally fine. Like you're on your own timeline, so don't pressure yourself. You know, try and build your self-esteem where you can, and just know that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Like there's a massive LGBTIQA plus community out there, and everyone is kind of doing their best, and there's so many successful people out there that belong to the LGBTIQA plus community. So try not to give yourself a hard time if you're feeling alone, because there's a massive community out there.